Hey everyone, it's Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. Important news update today. First, from the Fed Chair Jerome Powell on increasing inflation, what he thinks is going to happen with the economy, especially given the Russia-Ukraine war, and what that means for the stock market. Plus, more people are getting prison sentences for fraudulent EIDL or PPP loan schemes. I'm going to talk about two newsworthy convictions today. It's always shocking to see these. And finally, we've released more of our EIDL survey results. 88% of minority-owned businesses still need more funding. Thanks so much for watching today and liking this video. And if you're new, please consider subscribing, turning on the alerts. You know, yesterday we did an amazing YouTube live. We are doing these about once a week now with small business owners. We had Eliana and Diana on yesterday. Huge thank you to them. I'm so grateful they joined us live and for sharing their stories, really positive words there. And it's interesting to hear from so many of you. We're going to be doing more YouTube lives. In fact, the one we did last week, we've put up clips from our conversations with Pam, who overcame 6 EIDL denials, finally approved, saved her business, from Ali, who shares his story about how he's used his EIDL funds, and Jay's story as well, how he used EIDL funding to basically retain his 100+ employees. So these clips are up on our blog, helloskip.com/blog. Each of their clips are around 2 to 3 minutes. We're going to put up Diana and Eliana's clips from yesterday. Most importantly, we're going to feature more businesses, your stories, not only your journey to getting funding, navigating EIDL, PPP over the past couple years, but also how you're growing your business now, how you're addressing risks like inflation and hiring. So stay tuned for more there. And by the way, if you're not following us on LinkedIn yet, here's our LinkedIn. We just put up this poll. What's the biggest challenge you face as an entrepreneur or small business owner? Paying expenses, hiring new people, getting additional funding, or finding more customers? Go find us on LinkedIn. We're posting a lot more insights there, and you can take this poll. Go to LinkedIn and search Skip or use the link in the description. So speaking of EIDL and PPP, a few news stories. This one came out yesterday. District man pleads guilty in schemes to defraud SBA, relief programs, and the Archdiocese of Washington. This defendant stole more than $2 million for a spending spree that included purchases of house, car, and yacht. Notice one common theme here in all of these folks that have so far pleaded guilty, and some have prison sentences. The one I'm going to show you in a minute, she is now being sent to prison. A common theme is there's also terrible purchases, expensive cars, yachts. It's really sad to see because I know so many of you watching legitimately have needed help, and it's often fraudsters like these that have created bottlenecks or otherwise taken away resources that could have been spent towards getting people approved, getting legitimate businesses approved. Here's the story. Kenneth Gogan, 43 of DC, pleaded guilty yesterday to carrying out 2 schemes. Here they are. In one, he fraudulently obtained more than 2.1 in PPP loans and EIDL. In the other, he embezzled more than $438,000 in funds from the Catholic Archdiocese of Washington, D.C., where he was previously employed as assistant superintendent. Here's some more details. In this case, he used funds from these 2 programs in part to purchase a $300,000 yacht, a $1.13 million row house, and a $46,000 luxury sports sedan. Like I just said at the top, here's a quote from U.S. Attorney Graves. While small businesses were struggling to stay afloat, Kenneth Gogan stole taxpayer dollars to fund his lavish lifestyle, home, car, and yacht. These emergency funds were intended to help small businesses weather the pandemic, not line the pockets of fraudsters. Yet this defendant brazenly undertook his scheme even after stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from his former faith-based employer. Gogan was arrested for both cases on August 11, 2020. He pleaded guilty yesterday to 3 counts. He's scheduled to be sentenced on June 15, 2022. These wire fraud charges each carry a statutory maximum of 20 years in prison, and the money laundering charge maximum of 10 years. Finally, here's the detail of what he did. According to the government's evidence, Gogan sought over $2.7 million in PPP loans on behalf of 9 companies. Some of the applications were submitted in his own name and others were in the name of another individual. Gogan received approximately $2.1 for these companies, which falsely purport to register emotional support animals. Gogan made false representations to receive the loan funds, including forged paperwork and bank records. The second one from last week, I think I briefly mentioned, Oakland woman was sentenced to 3 years in $1 million pandemic relief fraud. Defendant used shell companies to secure relief funds and then, no surprise, lavished herself with a private jet travel, expensive cars, and other luxuries. It's Christina Burden. She was sentenced to 36 months in prison following her guilty pleas to 2 counts of bank fraud and 2 counts of money laundering. She was originally charged February 3rd, 2021 for bank fraud related to both PPP and EIDL for her shell entity Blessing Box Co. LLC. In her plea agreement, she admitted to registering multiple fictitious businesses with the California Secretary of State, then modified documents by inserting incorrect dates related to the purported business operations in order to qualify the fictitious business for both PPP and EIDL programs. So 2 more sad cases to see. I've reported before, there was a lot of fraud in these programs, especially early days before some of the flags were in place. And I've mentioned several cases here on this channel. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's always so sad to see because this is taxpayer money, but I'm glad to see that folks are being brought to justice. Finally, to end today on the economy, well, let me start with Jerome Powell. Okay, he said this today: the Ukraine war creates higher risks of inflation. I already mentioned earlier this week that Powell expects to raise the interest rates by 0.5%. That's the largest increase since, I think, 2000. Here's what Powell said today: because of Russia's role in global energy and other commodity markets, quote, "We're going to see upward pressure of inflation at least for a while." He continued, "We need to be alert and nimble as we make decisions in what is quite a difficult environment. The Fed is going to be watching the Russia-Ukraine situation." Powell did say he thinks it's important to proceed along what they had in mind before the Russia-Ukraine situation. Quote, "In this very sensitive time at the moment, it's important for us to be careful in the way we conduct policy simply because things are so uncertain and we do not want to add to that uncertainty." Stocks wobbled today. Oil has gone up, briefly topping 116. And the Russian ruble, of course, continues to fall. That's today's quick update. As always, I love hearing your comments, funding related, business related. Go take our poll on our LinkedIn. And if you want 2 things, funding help getting an EIDL increase or reconsideration or other funding, or help getting more customers, getting more website traffic, go to helloskip.com/join. Choose the premium or VIP option. We have a few spots next week for you. We would love to help you risk-free. Give it a shot. Thanks to everyone who's left us reviews. This one from yesterday. Skip and my consultant Ray B have been and are constantly the greatest support network one would desire in these trying times. They cut through the, quote, noise. We all get fed and really understand this dynamic. I'm eternally grateful for my experience with Skip, the company, and in particular Ray. Cheers, and with sincerity, Jason KW. Thank you, Jason, and to everyone else who's left us reviews. We hope you decide to get in touch with us so we can help you out. Most importantly, stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.